Ellie is hands down the best character of The Last of Us. This episode is filled with action, emotions, with twists and turns, so buckle up and let's break it down. We begin with the new character David. He's reading the Bible to a group of people, and this is the first time we are seeing religion in the post-apocalyptic world. David is comforting a little girl that just lost her father. As they leave the steakhouse, from the looks of it, it's an extremely cold winter in Silver Lake, Colorado. With this extreme cold, we come to learn that they have about 1 week's worth of food left. The first couple scenes are not in the game, but are added to provide a little more backstory about David. We are then taken back to Ellie and Joel. Ellie's checking on Joel's wound and giving him water on his lips so he stays hydrated as he's in and out of consciousness. You can tell how much Ellie has grown to care for Joel. As Ellie pulls out the last of their beef jerky, you can tell how hungry she is, but she saves a small bit for Joel just in case he wakes up. She sits there thinking, what would Joel do? Ellie grabs the rifle, goes out hunting, and was able to take down a deer. When Ellie goes to find the deer, we find out that David found the deer first. As Ellie encounters him, she lowers her voice to sound more intimidating.
Drop your rifles! Now!
These scenes are very similar to the game with some small minor changes. As David asks for some deer, he tells Ellie they'd be able to trade her for anything that she needs. Ellie quickly responds and says, medicine for infections. David sends James back to town to grab penicillin for Ellie. James is confused as to why David wants to help her since they know who Ellie is. But David is a master manipulator, and we see it in multiple scenes throughout the show and the game. In the game, he gains trust from Ellie after fighting infected together and saving each other's lives. Here, David gets Ellie's trust slowly through conversation about the group of people and why he turned to religion. David tells Ellie there's no such thing as love. He believes everything happens for a reason and tells us a story of why he believes this. He sent 4 men to go look for food, and one of his men was killed by a man traveling with a little girl. It then clicks in her head that David is talking about Joel and herself. As James returns with the medicine, he has a gun pointed to Ellie's head, but David tells him to lower the gun and give her the medicine. James is still confused. He is in shock because they know that this person killed one of their own. Again, David is doing this to gain trust from Ellie. Ellie runs back to Joel to give him the medicine, but has no idea how much or where to even administer it. Imagine having the solution to your problem, but not knowing how to execute it. Ellie gives the medicine to Joel and lays next to him. As James and David return with the deer, you can visibly see in people's body language that James told them that they found the people responsible for Alex's death. When the little girl says that you should kill both of the people responsible, you can see everybody look at David. David slowly walks to the little girl and smacks her. I was not expecting that at all. He tells the mom to sit down and helps the little girl back up. I think these scenes were added into the show to show how terrified everybody is of David and how controlling he is. The next morning, Joel is still not awake and Ellie gives him more medicine. As Ellie is outside, she hears birds in the distance and she knows Joel and herself are in trouble. She gives Joel a knife so he can protect himself, and she rides off to distract David and his men away from Joel. As Ellie's riding away, James kills Callus. As James and the men approach Ellie, it is very tense. They're about to shoot Ellie until David arrives and stops them. Such a relief. I thought it was going to be the end for Ellie. Everyone can't look David in the eye because they are ashamed and scared of his disapproval. As the men arrive, Joel kills them one by one. Joel is a straight savage and he's gonna go get his girl back. Just like he said before, you keep going for family. He's probably running on adrenaline to get Ellie back. Ellie then wakes up in a cell. David again is trying to convince Ellie that he's a nice guy and he's saving her from everyone else. As they talk, we get a sense that Ellie is afraid. She sees the ear on the floor and David admits that they have been eating people because they have no food. This totally explains the scene earlier when the woman asks what type of meat the man is bringing in. David tries to convince Ellie that she will be okay and safe there and that she's an equal to him. He states that people will follow them. He wants Ellie to secretly be his wife. That's disgusting. Ellie does not fall for this and breaks his finger because she's a badass. As Joel fights through the storm, he sees a trail of blood and finds Ellie's backpack and thinks the worst. He finds Callus's dead body and is relieved that it was not Ellie's blood. He looks up and there's dead bodies hanging. This is where they're storing their meat. As Joel leaves the barn, he takes Ellie's backpack with him because he knows she's gonna need it and he has hopes she's still alive. James James and David grab Ellie out of the cell, place her on the table, and are about to kill her. Just like in the game, Ellie lies and says she's infected and bit David. She uses David's words against him and says everything happens for a reason. Ellie then grabs the meat cleaver and kills James. Oh my god, what an amazing, satisfying ending to James. We then get to my favorite part of the episode when Ellie lights the steakhouse on fire and is trying to run from David. Just like in the game, Ellie's sneaking around and gets in a fight with David. David tells Ellie he likes when they fight back, and this tells me David has done this before. He says there's no fear in love, which is disgusting. As Ellie kills David, you can see the anger with each swing. She continues to attack him well after he's dead. Everything's pouring out of her, and you can see the trauma from fighting so hard to escape David. As Ellie walks out, Joel grabs Ellie and she freaks out but holds her tightly and tells her, "It's okay, baby girl, I got you." Such an emotional scene. I cried so much, but I'm also a baby, so honestly the actors did such an amazing job, and you can see how relieved Ellie is to see Joel. We finally see Joel admit that he cares a lot about Ellie, just like as she was his own daughter. I have no idea how Ellie's gonna be the same after this. This episode stayed very true to the game, very similar scenes. It's amazing, had so much action, so much emotion, and doubt that Joel might not make it, but he did, and he pushed through for his baby girl. I'm very excited to see what the final episode has in store for us. I'm sure there's going to be a season 2 to cover The Last of Us Part 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this, and we'll be back with the final and last episode breakdown.